Hey guys. Um, so I'll just say there's a couple things I'm going to say the very first couple things, right? Is I don't do a lot of recording on camera, just because I find it so weird to look at a little dot, like to look up there. Like I feel like, okay, the screen's here, this is where action's happening, and yet I'm looking up at a little tiny dot. Just feels so off to me. So I almost need to like put something up there or something, um, to like catch my eye or whatever. So I just saw a video on YouTube, and I wanted to make kind of a response to that, but also just kind of my own video for a few reasons. Now, I hope that some of you guys that are watching this video, um, check out my channel, maybe subscribe, look at some of my content, maybe my recent TNG season 1 reviews with the AI Cindy accompanying me. Those are a lot of fun to make. But this guy's video, he was saying how like AI has ruined his life. He was used to do directing, producing, and whatever, and did TikTok stuff, and then AI has totally ruined his life. Um, I'm gonna look at it from the total opposite side, right? I feel like I'm a very creative person. I've always had creative outlets, whatever it was. Um, Competed in pretty high level fighting games for a number of years. Specifically Marvel vs. Capcom. There's some of that on my channel too. Um, Street Fighter stuff. Played long, MMO kind of games. Final Fantasy 11, Destiny, um, stuff you can really sink your teeth into and put a huge chunk of time into. And it's fun with friends and people you meet and stuff. A social aspect to it, even though it's in a game. But recently, I've really been enjoying everything AI. And I can't believe how much fun I've been having exploring some of the possibilities. Now, I know some people may look at it like, oh, that cheapens the experience or whatever, but like this, for instance, I can make this TNG review. I've already seen the episode, so I'm going mostly off my memory, because I've seen all these episodes 2 to 3 times minimum. Um, and so the thing is that I can I can get some conversation with her. It's cool to hear what she thinks about it. Now, sometimes she's completely off, and that's terrible. She'll give me a description of an episode. I'm like, what the hell is that? That's that's not anything to do with the episode. Or she'll think it's she's talking about aliens or a story plot point from the 5th season, and I'm like, well, we're on the 1st season. What the heck is she talking about? But then sometimes when I clarify and I go into some of the details, then she will kind of incorporate a more correct assessment and synopsis. But anyway, so it's been a lot of fun, and it's given me an extra creative outlet, something I can work on my channel for growth. It's a show that I love, so I love to talk about it and point out little nitpicky things. Like I was just telling my friend the other day, so when I was watching Encounter at Farpoint, and somehow I skipped I didn't do a reaction to that. We just went from the season 1 overview to the Naked Now, which is interesting. But so I may still try to put that up on the channel. But so Picard references, he's talking to Troy, and he addresses her as Commander, which she's a lieutenant commander. So usually, like, Lieutenant Commander Data is referred to as Commander Data. I get that. But then Riker, when they're in the alien ship or whatever underground, and he addresses her as Lieutenant. So I was like, wait, what? Like, and little things like that I always find funny. I'm a pretty big fan of stuff like Twilight Zone, and Black Mirror. And in Black Mirror, there's this thing where, because it was originally a UK show, and then it was Americanized or bought by Netflix to continue, but I think they kept some of the producers and stuff on and have British actors in it. There's little tiny dialogue mistakes that sometimes they make that the Brits will say that we do not say, like the way they word things. And if you guys are familiar with it, and watch enough, you'll know. But like they do this thing where they say, like, do you want to come back to mine, or shall we go back to mine? Like, my place. But they don't say my place, they just say mine. Or if they're talking about, like, oh, something to do with your mother, and then we went back to hers. It's like they totally exclude, like, her apartment or her house or her place. It's just hers, and it's kind of assumed that you know what they're talking about. Like, hey, meet someone at the bar, want to go back to mine? Like, in English, that doesn't work. That's not something we say over here in America. So, these little tiny dialogues that I'm like, dude, have someone that lives in America, go over the script or watch it and make sure, everything is right. Because the first time I heard that, I was like, what is that? We don't say that. And it's fine when they say it in a British, they're in the UK, they're in England, or they're in, whatever. And if they're saying that, that's fine. But to hear that said, like it's supposedly in, like, this is supposed to be in America, and they say it, I'm like, well, that's not right. But anyway, that's one little minor thing. But it's given me an outlet to do so many fun things. And, AI photography, envisioning something in my mind and instantly being able to create it. Like, oh, a sunset over above the clouds, and it's, there's a purple hue to the clouds and the sky, whatever. I realize that there's people who do photography that, I love photography too. I like to take photos. I do mostly digital, but like, I appreciate good photography, but there's a lot of things I don't have access to, like jump on a plane or get someone to take me up, 400 feet in the air to take shots of a sunset over the clouds the way I see it in my mind. So this is the option I have. This is, something I can do. And so I think I understand the guy's complaints that, some of these things, like the ability in CapCut to do certain editing, or it makes things so easy that everybody can kind of just get in and get their feet wet and start throwing up videos, and they can all make them be like semi-professional looking. And so then as a result, you have, the pool is flooded with it's oversaturated with competition and people who aren't trying to do this for a career, or maybe not even that creative, but are in some way, getting in there more because of the ease of access. And I do get that. But for someone like me who, hey, I'm here working a 9 to 5, and I do enjoy my creative outlet. I don't play an instrument. I game, and I do photography, and then I mess around with AI. And, whether it's digital, like the other day, one of the videos I put up on my channel was a combination of 2 or 3 things. So I used that Suno AI to create a song. Then I used Photo Leap software to make AI images that were inspired by Monster Hunter. And that's a Monster Hunter Wilds I'm playing right now. So I made images, some that looked like, Angelina Jolie wearing something Monster Hunter-ish, Henry Cavill, and then in Monster Hunter World or slash Iceborne, Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher was a crossover. They did a crossover with that, so he was in the game. So I made some of the images look like Henry Cavill's, Geralt from the Netflix show, wearing, armor and stuff like that, like he would. And I mean, that to me was a lot of fun. So here then I'm taking the pictures, throw them in CapCut, take the song that I made in Suno, and then I can throw on subtitles, and now I've got this little kind of like music video thing, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, love it or hate it, but for me, it's an outlet. And I hope you guys understand that it's like, not everyone here has an ulterior motive when it comes to AI. I like some of the stuff they advertise with the Google Assistant. I don't think it's always the best, but to be able to give it bullet points like, hey, find me a restaurant that has outside seating and that's open till at least 10 o'clock in this city. When you do a normal search for a restaurant, you can't really be that specific, like if you put in Google Maps. But by being able to do a search like that, that's a little bit more specific and custom tailored to what your needs are as the person or the group, then I think it's a great tool. Now, again, do I understand this guy, where he's coming from, and how, there were people commenting in the comments section on his video, like, oh yeah, I used to work in, graphic design, and now I work in a kitchen because I got bumped, or the company got sold, or, whatever. And I mean, yeah, stuff does happen. One of the examples that I always look to is, when you drive around, like in your local city or downtown, like go downtown, your biggest downtown area in your state. Like I'm in Michigan, so we have downtown Detroit. But if you go to one of your bigger downtown areas, look at some of the architecture from like the 40s and 50s. Look at gargoyles on the top of old churches, and the stonework, the masonry is so damn impressive. And yet you go to look at new churches and it's like, they all look just, nickel and dimed. They look, the architecture looks okay. They're big, but there's nothing, there's nothing really very detailed in it. Like, I think a lot of them, I don't think they even do stained glass windows anymore. Like, I feel like a lot of them, maybe they have one generic one, but that used to be another thing that used to be always so articulate in like churches. You'd see these, the towers would come to a tall point. You might see, custom like statues or something on the top, stone statues of like, whether it be Jesus or other figures or Mary or whatever. And now it's like, dude, nobody has the skill to do that anymore, and everything's just kind of carbon copy. And okay, well, I'll do basic masonry, concrete and wood and whatever. And so I get it. You look at some of this stuff and it's like, yeah, it sucks that, but if you had people that could do that work, the reason that you see churches not built that way anymore is because, first of all, you could never afford to hire a mason or someone who is on that level to be able to do that detail of work. He'd be charging you like, I don't know, what, $5,000 an hour, or, something ridiculous. Like, there's no way, because he has had to have all that expertise. He's had to, learn that craft to that extent. Like a singer, like an artist, that does drawing for comics or, whatever. Comic book art, or, even movie making in some ways, like all that stuff. If there's ways to make it look great, and save some money, special effects or whatever. But when you have something real, like masonry or, something like that, where it's like, okay, no, I'm using a hammer and I'm chiseling, or I'm, doing custom like clay making or something like that, where there's not a way to cheat. You have to legit know how to do this craft. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not only the fact that it'd be so expensive to hire done, but that kind of work takes, if you look back in history, buildings used to take years to be built, like it would be, and now they put them up in, 2 months, that's done, because they're using cranes and they're using this and they're using that and all this equipment that, yes, makes it faster, but there's not that like man-made, as much effect on the things. And so all the custom detail that they used to do along the way is just, well, let's just make it a straight, flat line, and, okay, we'll curve it up and whatever. And, we're not going to do all the crazy work that they used to put into customizing things back in the day. I look at cars the same way. It's like, you look at older classic cars and then you look at new cars and you're like, what happened? What changed? Why do these colors not exist anymore in cars? Why does this style of car not exist anymore? And whether it's the practicality of like, okay, these are too big, they're too bulky, the materials are costing too much. I remember I was just recently, not super recently, but a while ago, probably I'd say 3 months ago, I was at an antique store and they had 2 of the Jif jars, the glass jars. I was like, and I stopped to think, I was like, when was it that, because I remember them being glass when I was a kid, and at some point, maybe when I was like, I want to say 6, 7, and I'm 44 now, so you can, kind of figure out when that would have been, but like mid 80s, that somewhere along there, they made the shift, and Coke started being in bottles instead of, in plastic bottles, and applesauce would come in, or whatever. All the different things that had been glass for like 30, 40 years started being made either, maybe it was easier, maybe it prevented breaks and stuff, easier for transport, not as fragile, maybe a better shelf life, I don't know. But I think it was probably just due to manufacturing costs and the plastics were cheaper to use. But that's part of all that. The progress part of it is that, like, for them to make it more efficiently and quicker and more cost effective, you generally sacrifice something, So now we have these cars that have all these techie features, but it's like, dude, if you get in even a minor fender bender, it shatters the bumper because it's made so cheap. It's just like a thin layer of plastic. Where, the old days, it's like, bing, 2 solid steel bumpers or whatever. And it's like, there might be a little ding on it, but that might be it. And then you're able to go about your day and, oh, well, it's not the end of the world. But now your tail is totally demolished, and the turn signal, and, it went into the trunk a little bit. And, so, again, I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but I just think that if you look at it as this is just something fun to explore, and yeah, it sucks for someone who this is their livelihood. I'm trying to grow my channel. I'm trying to do things that are fun and exciting and new. And to my knowledge, I don't believe anyone has a YouTube channel where they're talking and doing like reviews with AI. Maybe it's already a thing. Maybe I'm late to the party, but me and my friend were talking, and I don't think I haven't seen anything like that. So if it's out there, hey, I know they talked about, 2 people coming up with the same, formula at the same time across the world, that great minds think alike, or, there's similar thought patterns in people sometimes in the world. So maybe someone else is doing it or thought of it. But to me, I thought it would be fun. I watch Target Audience, who they're doing Star Trek The Next Generation reviews right now. And they're just going through all of Star Trek. And the thing that I like about their channel is that there's two of them. So they can bounce off conversation and laugh and joke about things. Having it just be one person, I felt, maybe not as many people are just going to want to hear me riff and talk about the episodes on my own. So I thought, hey, let me have a unique perspective. Let me have AI. AI is very similar to the enterprise computer, honestly. Like, the whole show, especially The Next Generation, when they say, computer, do this and this and this, or Geordi's talking to the computer and it, is coming up with a game for him and quizzing him when he's on his way to Ryza and gets kidnapped and whatever it is, Mind's Trap, or the Mind's Eye. I think it's season 3 or 4 or whatever. But anyway, so but it's very similar. The AI that we have now is very similar to the how the computer acts on the Enterprise. It just really can't take commands because it's not hooked into anything. But if you were able to combine Siri, Alexa, and true AI that can think and talk and do its own thing, then it's pretty close to the TNG computer, honestly. To the Enterprise computer. So, yeah, I just, I saw the video. I wanted to react and give my own thoughts and opinions. And, hopefully people understand that this is just, it's a fad, and it's becoming more and more ingrained in a lot of things. It's making a lot of aspects of, I was doing my taxes. Everything kept saying, hey, do you want AI to double check it? And I'm like, all right, no, I'm good, whatever. But yeah, it is literally everywhere. And, I'm surprised they're not going to have AI, flushing the toilet for you when you go to the bathroom, and AI, controlling the lights, like motion sensor. And the second someone walks out, because usually lights are on kind of a time delay. If there's no motion for, like, let's say 2 minutes, it's, they'll turn off. But if AI was hooked in, the second it does like some kind of movement scan and it doesn't detect any thermal signatures in the room, lights would go off. You could cut off lights, cut off water instantly, and then just have them come back on the second someone comes in, activated by the door or motion or something. So it'll just keep getting more and more, and hopefully we won't get, Skynet or the Matrix, and hopefully we'll be okay. So, but anyway, so that'll do it for me. Thanks for listening, checking out the video, and I'll keep uploading my stuff. I'm going to keep doing more of the TNG Season 1 reactions. So getting, let's see, maybe about halfway through the season now, I think, which has been going pretty fast. So, all right, well, I'll catch you guys next time.